What's up, everybody, and welcome to your Let Me Get That Potograph, week update. We just put out our new episode 174, just yesterday. By the way, check it out on all major podcast platforms. But Scott, I mean, dude, for 2 weeks in a row now, we put an episode out, and then the very next day, something major happens.
I know, and we're doing an update to this week's show, and it's mainly in fairness because on yesterday's show we tore into Topps for a lot of the mistakes that they've made and and things like that over the last couple of months. Well, we wanted to make sure in fairness that we didn't just leave it at Topps. The update
Which
today
we mentioned on the show.
Exactly. The update today, we're going to be talking about Panini.
Yes, Panini in one of their biggest products of the year and the biggest chase card of the year, the Babe Ruth cut auto booklet at a National Treasures, the brand new product that just came out. Well, it was pulled, and astute viewers, basically anyone with eyes, could take one look at the cut signature and realize that they put George Brett's signature in the Babe Ruth cut.
I will say, when I first saw it, I did not recognize that it was George Brett's auto. Really? I did recognize that it was definitely not Babe Ruth.
Right, yeah.
But I did not know. But I don't do a lot of George Brett auto stuff, so I'm not really familiar with his signature. But I knew immediately that there was a screw-up somewhere along the line because it wasn't Babe Ruth. And guys, there's a meme for this, but you get to see it live.
Yes. Yeah.
There's no excuse.
No, it's a hand collated product. So the QC we were talking about yesterday, I mean, this is hand collated. Who in their right mind looks at the Babe Ruth booklet, the chase card of the product, and looks at that and says, oh yeah, that's a pass. This isn't like something that remotely looked like his, or it was a faded one or something.
No,
this was just completely wrong. This is up there with some of the biggest mistakes you can make, period.
Yes, and this is one where I would say at least 10 people had to have seen it before it got packed out.
Yeah, at least.
Who doesn't know? Who doesn't notice? There's got to be at least one of those 10 people that have seen Babe Ruth's signature before. And it's not even like a messy signature. It's very clear. It's crisp. It says Babe Ruth. And a 5-year-old could read it.
Yes.
It's one of those things that, like, there is literally no excuse for this to have happened. This may actually be the biggest production screw up in the history of sports cards.
Yeah, I mean, outside of letting fuckface be on a card, I mean,
that's minor.
No, I know. This is the chase card of a product that boxes go near or over thousands of dollars. This is a card that would have commanded probably $10K plus. This was the card on the sell sheet. This is what you were chasing. This was the holy grail. This was the LeBron triple logo man. This was it.
Yeah. And now it's not. So the question is, there have been a couple of photoshopped versions that have popped out, and
guys, stop believing everything you see.
Yeah, and I will say, though, the George Brett one at first glance was actually pretty solid, but it turned out to be not real.
Well, considering those aren't cut autos and they're made a completely different way, but
exactly. But what happened? So obviously, the person who pulled the Babe Ruth with the George Brett auto is royally pissed off.
Well,
it's a very simple fix. It's like, hey, if Panini says, hey, send it back and we'll fix it. We'll put the right auto in there. We'll replace it with another Babe Ruth cut auto or something like that. Okay, fine. But
as long as they don't use the phrase of equal or lesser value, because what's coming.
Do not let them do that. Now, here's the other interesting question: is somewhere out there, maybe, and we don't know, the
Yeah.
actual cut signature for the Babe Ruth card may be sitting
Yes.
in Panini's office somewhere.
Or
Um,
or packed out and put in another
and
player
that's
in
where
the
and
set.
that was the other option I was going with. So the real question is, if a card gets pulled that has, for a different player, that has the Babe Ruth cut signature in it, what does the person who pulled it do?
Well, I think the right thing. Well, it all depends on who pulls it. Let's be honest, and the integrity that that person has. If it's me, I get with the guy that has the babe. I send it over to Tanner Jones and let him do his magic and swap him out for me. It'll be a lot quicker than Panini, and it'll be the exact same thing. But yeah, I mean, I mean, let's say it is. Let's say it is in a. I don't know who's. I mean, obviously he's not
This
in a cut auto set, but obviously it's not Reed Detmers. But
No,
let's assume.
exactly. But
Let's
here's
assume it's somebody lower end. If they hit that Babe Ruth cut auto, yeah. What I mean,
Well,
it
the person who pulled that, the other card with the Ruth auto is under zero obligation to return that card to Panini,
of
send it
course.
back. There
No,
is, they could sell it.
of
There's
course they
nothing,
could.
and I would say there is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No,
This
I wouldn't either. I mean, if
Yeah.
I pulled it, I would make a I would get someone to make a custom cut piece and sell it myself.
Well,
I mean,
but that's the thing. I don't I actually think there might be additional value based upon this being the biggest screw up in the history of sports cards.
well,
As it,
yeah, I mean, you have
leaving
a
it as
point
it
there
is.
because it definitely is one of the biggest, if not the biggest screw up in sports card
Yeah.
history.
And something inside me says I don't want, like, I'd want it slabbed,
Yeah,
but at the same time, I wouldn't want to risk sending it for grading on the chance that Panini has, reached out to one of these guys and said, "Hey, it's a screw up, pull it off the market."
right.
And then it gets returned to that. So it's like I'd almost leave it raw.
Well, yeah, and they still haven't made a case that looks good for a booklet slab. So I
No,
mean,
no. The only ones out there are the massive Beckett ones that are the size of a
yeah,
freaking book, and
no,
uh,
I'll
but that's
pass on
assuming.
those.
But hold on a second. That's assuming that the Babe Ruth cut auto ends up in another book card.
That's true. It
It
could
could
end
end
up
up,
anywhere in
yeah.
treasures. Yeah,
It could be in a single non-book
yeah,
card.
yeah.
Um, but what does Panini do? I mean, I know exactly what I would do if I was Panini.
What's
But
that?
I would say to the owner of the Babe Ruth card, hey, send that back in. We will source another Babe Ruth cut
Yes.
signature, and we will
Yep.
swap it out with the George Brett signature.
That's what you have
And
to do.
then here, and not only will we send that back to you with the Babe Ruth signature, but hey, sorry for the inconvenience. Here's some extra stuff.
Yeah, here's a Panini Draft Picks Prism Redemption that we're giving away for free. No,
No, or I mean, it could be anything. It could be like,
no,
we
I'm
know
just
it's
kidding.
baseball, but it's here. Here's a hobby box of Prism draft.
Sure, yeah.
You know,
No, but they
something along those
absolutely
lines.
have to
Yeah,
fix the mistake. You can't leave a collector because you screwed up this bad. You cannot leave them with a George Brett Babe Ruth cut
no,
auto.
no, and this
You've
is
got
not.
to give them that Babe Ruth auto that the back of that card guarantees is there.
Yeah, and this is not one of those situations where, and as you mentioned earlier, of equal or lesser value comes into play.
Right.
The only exception would be if there is a different Babe Ruth cut auto that
Yes.
is sitting around somewhere, maybe from like last year's product that never made it on the checklist and never made it in the product. Fine, cool, that's okay, that
Yeah.
would be acceptable.
Yeah.
But anything other than that would be a no-go. Now I wouldn't say that if they have a, and I know it's not the same sport, but if they had a, I don't know, a Luca NT rookie patch auto sitting around the
Right.
office,
Yeah.
okay, I'd take that.
There's ways you can work it
um
out with the seller if you or the owner
with the owner, yeah.
if you don't have a Babe Ruth cut, but they one way, shape, or form they absolutely have to make this right, and hopefully, inside one of those NT boxes,
Yeah.
another collector gets one hell of an awesome surprise.
No, exactly. Now, the thing is, though, there's plenty of Babe Ruth autos, certified autos that are out there
Oh yeah.
that he signed a postcard or a check or
Mhm.
something along those lines where Panini could easily get their hands on one. Chances are they probably have a couple sitting in the office that they've bought over the years
I'm
for
assuming they have a checkbook or something.
yeah to put in the product like this. So instead of there being a Babe Ruth 2 years from now, they use that signature
Yeah.
for the replacement on this one.
Yeah.
And then I'm really excited because now there's another chase card out there. Maybe because again, we don't know what happened to the original signature that was supposed to be in
Right.
that Babe Ruth card. I mean, that could have been, and I hate to say it, that could have been pocketed by the person that puts the signatures into the cards,
100. Yeah, that's an absolute
and they got a Babe Ruth
possibility.
signature out there. So it may not be in another card, but if
Yeah,
it
no,
is,
absolutely. I mean, we talked about the 101 Pat Parajas that got backdoored by an employee in Italy. I mean, it
yeah,
100% this stuff happens. There's no reason to say it couldn't happen at Panini. Hopefully, it is in some box somewhere that someone's going to get quite the surprise, because I think that would be a pretty cool story in and of itself.
yep.
But right now, a major, major issue in the hobby, and quite possibly, like you said, Scott, the biggest screw up in the history of sports cards.
Well, hold on. Let me rephrase that. I do want to. I want to go back and rephrase that. This is the biggest screw up in the history of manufacturing sports
Yes.
cards because you've got bigger ones like the PSA's graded 0000001, the Gretzky Honus
Yeah.
Wagner,
Yeah.
which turned out to be trimmed in the end. Right,
Right.
that was a pretty big scandal. But you've got other ones, fake auto scandals, things like that. But
Yeah. But
as
manufacturing
far as
cards, this is
manufacturing goes, this is the biggest scandal that we have seen. Period.
absolutely. And guys, we will keep you up to date on this, of course, every single week on Let Me Get That Potograph, which airs, like I said, weekly. New episode 174, is out now, where we discuss quite a few topics, including the card porn LeBron rookie lawsuit, a bunch of quality control issues in the hobby, Rui Hachimura to the Lakers, and tons more. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you guys next week. Till then, keep ripping those packs, pulling those hits. We'll talk to you then. Peace.